Danica Stein. She's also on the VDART board, but she is the rabbit guru, and I'm just going to let her take it from here.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it, and any chance I get to help educate people about rabbits, I'm very happy to do that. Since the focus here is basically on sheltering, right? We have, heaven forbid, we have another event, and a bunch of rabbits come in. What the heck do I do with these things? I did not have rabbits as a kid. I did not have rabbits until 14 years ago, 12 or 14 years ago, something like that. Rabbits just kind of happened, and I didn't really know anything about rabbits. And then rabbits kept finding me after that, which I think is wonderful. So I don't know if you had a chance to see this, but one of the pictures that I'm going to show you, this is one of my other rabbits and my cat. This rabbit is Otis. The cat is Kevin. When Otis is out of his house, Kevin likes to go in there and sleep in Otis's bed. I think Otis likes that because then the bed's nice and warm. And you know my dog.
I know your dog.
She weighs about 145 pounds, and she's a little bit intimidated by the rabbit and the cat. So we have a good thing going on between the species. The rabbits, I have 4 male rabbits. They're all neutered males. They're not bonded. I don't have a lot of experience bonding rabbits, but I've taken multiple webinars, and we're going at it very slowly. My rabbits all have their own X pen, and I'll show you pictures of that at some point here. And we also let them out. It's the rabbit room. It used to be our dining room. It's the rabbit room. That's their room. That's where their X pens are. One or the other of us, my other rabbit caretaker, is home. I get up early. The other person stays up late. So the rabbits rotate out in the room. Each rabbit is probably out for a minimum of 4 hours a day. So they're out of their enclosure, which is fairly big to begin with. It's a typical 3x3 X pen. It's got their toys, their litter box, their bed. They can run around. So that's my life with rabbits. As I mentioned, and I'll mention again, this guy is deaf. It certainly does not slow him down a bit, but he takes a lot of his cues from the other rabbits. So if I do this in the rabbit room, my other 3 rabbits will go bonkers. And he will too, but not because he heard it, because he saw the other rabbits. And that's what I think was depressing him in the shelter, was he wasn't getting a lot of visual, which he needs. So he's a very, very happy boy right now with his other friends. Now, Bob, this is about the cutest rabbit on the planet, right?
And my friend's got a cute one too.
Okay, one of the cutest. And unfortunately, lop-eared rabbits, and lop, if you don't know what that means, it's the hanging down ears rather than the sticking up ears. That's kind of an evolutionary disaster. I think of rabbits, as lop-eared rabbits, as the rabbit equivalent of pugs. Like, there's a lot of not good genetic material there. Deafness comes with it. The kind of flattened face comes with some breathing issues. Yeah, but they're adorable.
I think he's cute.
Fortunately, he doesn't have a whole host of health issues like many lop-eared rabbits do, and rabbits from the kind of background that he came from are always kind of a wild card health-wise, but he's been great so far. He does have sneezing fits occasionally, and our vet determined that there wasn't anything respiratory, like major respiratory wrong with him, but she suggested putting an air purifier in his area. So we did that this spring, and I haven't heard him sneeze since then.
Allergies.
So, what?
Has he got allergies?
It could be allergies, yeah, and we just, we're just careful not to dust around him and so on, and he's fine. Okay, so I'll go over some kind of rabbit basics first, and then we'll get more specifically into sheltering and housing and handling and so on. If you had a chance to look at this, I think the one thing that blows me away, I didn't know this until actually I was doing a little online research a couple days ago. This is the 4th paragraph down. One breeding pair and their unfixed offspring can create almost 4 million rabbits in 4 years.
Wow.
They're exponential breeders, and that's why it's a phrase, breed like rabbits.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. There's at least 50 distinct domestic rabbit breeds. They range in weight between 2 pounds and 12 pounds. He's about 3.5. There are very large domestic breeds. The case that he came from, there was a female rabbit that I think was 20 pounds. She was picked upable, but it was hard. So to have her go to the egg pen, we had a cat tunnel, one of those crinkly unfolding cat tunnels, and she'd run through that right into the egg pen. Life expectancy for domestic rabbit is it's between 8 and 12 years, so it's pretty comparable to a dog's lifespan, and I think that surprises a lot of people too, because they think, oh, it's a small animal, probably doesn't live that long. Well, they do, and they can live longer than 12 years with good care, and if they're healthy. They shed every 3 months. He's almost through with the shedding phase right now, but I mean, he looked like a porcupine for a few days. Brushing, obviously, grooming. They do a lot of self-grooming. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Rabbits were domesticated about 1,500 years ago. That's not very long ago. So they're actually still pretty close to their wild roots. One of the most important facts about rabbits, and this will come up over and over again, is that they are prey animals. Everything eats rabbits, including humans. So the fact that they are prey animals makes them very, very different from other animals that we're used to sharing our home with, like dogs or cats. Their behavior is on a completely different plane, and we'll get into that a little bit more. And being domestic, like any other domestic animal, they're not going to survive very long in the wild. So if I ever hear anybody say, oh, well, if we can't care for him, we'll just release him, I'll just lose my mind. So yeah, so that's not going to happen. They're not going to survive very long in the wild. And this guy would be gone in no time.
For sure.
Males are bucks, females are does, babies are kits. The gestation period is 28 to 31 days. Does can get pregnant right after giving birth. They can take care of their business in close proximity, even if they're not in the same enclosure. So if you had 2 crates like this next to each other, an unfixed girl and an unfixed boy, they could get it done between the bars. So just something to keep in mind for sheltering, especially if you don't know if they're spayed or neutered. We want to keep them far apart. Rabbits used to be considered rodents, but their teeth, their mouth structure is different from rodents. So they are in the order Lagomorpha. Rabbits normally have 28 teeth, and they never stop growing. That's why rabbits, vocation, everything they're about is chewing, and they'll chew. There's nothing they won't chew, let's put it that way. Coarse fiber and proper nutrition is essential because of that, because of the fact that their teeth are always growing. Rabbits, if their teeth are not well cared for, they can overgrow. A good rabbit vet can trim them, or in a more extreme case, a rabbit vet can remove the teeth that aren't properly lined up in the mouth. They love to run and jump, they're social, they need daily exercise and interaction. That's why we know now that an outdoor hutch is not a suitable environment for a domestic rabbit, even if they have a buddy, whatever. And there's a lot of reasons for that. One is that out of sight, out of mind. I mean, are you really going to hang out with an animal that's in your yard somewhere in a hutch? It adds to the perception that they're livestock and not part of your family. They're also, they can literally be frightened to death. If they see a wolf or hear a coyote, even if you know that there's no way anything can get them in that hutch, they can die of fright. So, some basics about behavior, as I said, and I'll probably say a million more times, they're prey animals, and that really drives a lot of their behavior. They'll thump their hind legs when they're scared or upset. Sometimes they'll do it if they notice that something has been rearranged in the room, to, I guess, notify all the other rabbits, hey, that chair got moved, just so you know, or something, I don't know. Sometimes they hear something. One of my other rabbits will go through phases where he doesn't eat for about 24 hours. This is normally a scary thing, but now we know about him that sometimes that happens, and it's usually because he hears something that we just weren't aware of. You know, maybe a motorcycle revved, you know, down the road or something. Who knows? But sometimes they'll thump in response to something and you have no idea what it is. They can bite, and if you think a little animal like that can't do some damage, think again. They absolutely can. They can bite hard. Usually they will more do like this and scratch, and you're kind of due for a nail trim pretty soon, aren't you? Their nails can be really sharp, as sharp as cat's claws. So there's a way, if you need to move a rabbit and you're not sure if you're going to get your arm clawed off, we'll get into that more with the handling part. There are ways to deal with that. They are complex, they're curious, they're intelligent, they can learn things. My rabbits all know their names except for him because he can't hear. My other rabbits will come when I call them. They'll go back into their X pens when I ask them to. They're really very intelligent, and their favorite treat helps them learn really quickly. They're very clean. They do a lot of self-grooming. They'll groom each other, even though my rabbits don't currently have direct access to each other outside. They'll go up to each other while one's out and one's in, and through the bars they'll groom each other. It's a whole different story when they're out together. But they're very affectionate with each other as long as one is behind a barrier like that. So if I had one of my other rabbits right now, and just say he was running out in the room, he would probably lie down right next to him and they'd be nose to nose through the bars. They often fling themselves down on their sides, and they look like they just had a heart attack and died. They don't just like, oh, okay, I'm gonna lie down, bam! And they're like, okay. I have a picture actually of, so this is Peanut, came with that name. Yeah, they just sleep like that. But he will often, like, he'll groom, he'll be like that, and he'll be doing, like licking his paw or something. But even if he's not, if I'm in the room, I always check and make sure they're breathing. But this is very typical rabbit behavior, and this is a very relaxed and calm rabbit that just wants to take a nap right now. A happy rabbit grinds or chatters their teeth. Has anybody ever experienced that with a rabbit? Like with that sound?
I've heard Brooksing with rats.
Do rats do that too?
Yep.
I had no idea. That's so cool.
Their eyes bulge when they're happy too.
Oh, that's so cute.
So I was guessing it was similar.
It's
to that sound.
It's very similar. Yeah, their eyes don't really bulge, but they might close their eyes. They'll be very relaxed. If you're petting a rabbit, you might be able to feel it. Like you'll feel the teeth doing this. Sometimes you can hear it, just like cats purring. Some rabbits do it a lot louder than others. That's a little bit different from if they're in pain. Sometimes they'll grind, and that's a little bit of a different sound. It's more intense, and you'll see some other body language that lets you know that the rabbit is not relaxed. Rabbits don't really vocalize. If they do, that's usually a bad thing. I heard a rabbit scream once, and he died immediately after that. I never want to hear that again. It's awful. But that's your cue that you need to get this rabbit some help ASAP if you hear something like that. But they do have some normal sounds. This guy makes kind of wheezy sounds. It sounds to me like wheezy, but it's not a wheezy sound for him. It's just a normal sound for him. They can make oinky sounds, like I make a lot of rabbit sounds. I'm really good at it. I've been listening to it for years. I know how to do rabbit sounds. That's usually kind of like the oinking is often accompanied by a rabbit running around your legs or maybe licking your leg or something. It can be a sexual thing, like a courting thing, but it usually means I need some attention and I need it now. I have a video of Peanut. In just a second, but he's just lying completely relaxed, and this is what he sounds like.
I don't hear anything.
It's very soft.
Little bunny snores.
But if you're sheltering and you hear a sound that you're not sure about if it's normal for a rabbit or not, by all means, ask your medical lead. Hopefully, you have a rabbit-savvy vet or tech lead that can take a look at that rabbit and let you know for sure. Rabbits have scent glands under their chins, so like some other animals, they mark territory. They rub their chin on objects. I don't know if he's done that since he's been in here, but he might when he warms up a little bit. It's called chinning, and it's to sort of claim property. They might do it on your leg. When whatever rabbit is out in the room, they'll usually start out by hopping out of their X-pen and rubbing their chin on everything in sight. It's not a super assertive thing. Like another rabbit isn't going to go, "Oh my God, Dominic was here. Better steer clear." You know, they'll just chin over where the other rabbit chinned. So
So much better than peeing.
What?
So much better than peeing.
Yes, way better. Yeah, and they do that too. But typically, unneutered males will urine mark. These guys haven't done that in ages since they've been neutered. They haven't.